Mr. Nesbitt, would you introduce yourself? And we will have 2 questions after your introduction.
Well, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
I'm Commissioner Oz Nesbitt, and I have been in the people business about 30 years. I've been a resident of Rockdale County for 16 years. 8 of those years I've served as your Post 1 Commissioner. I believe that in order to move our community together, we must have a board of commissioners that collaborate together in harmony. We must build relationships with our local clergy, as well as a strong rapport with our local sheriff's office. My top priority is public safety. There are other things that make up my list of priorities in terms of my platform, but I believe that if we're first not a safe community, then none of those other things matter. We were just reminded that over the last few days how important it is that we all should live in a safe community. Also in my platform, it includes economic development. And when I speak of economic development, I'm talking about how to get people back to work. Ushering in not just any type of industry or any type of manufacturing opportunity, but the right fit for Rockdale County, understanding the demographics of our community. We are not a bioscience or bioengineering community. We really are a blue-collar community. So when you're paying someone $15 to $18 an hour, that's a blue-collar employee, that's a great salary for Rockdale County. Also, in the area of code enforcement, our community looks awful. There's a lot of work to be done. We've been dragging our feet about getting the work done in this community in terms of cleaning up Rockdale County. And I really want to work very closely with our Clean and Beautiful Council to make sure that Rockdale County is a clean community. And also, parks and recreation. We're in the heart of the summer months, as the pastor has already spoken, and there are 16,500 young people enrolled in Rockdale County Public Schools. There's only one major park and rec facility, and that's Johnson Park. Well, if you've had an opportunity to go by Johnson Park or visit it any time during this time zone, you will see that it's been strained. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Good evening. First of all, give honor to God, who is the head of my life. Secondly, my name is Richard Oden, and I've been in Rockdale County since 1999. And I'm so proud to be a Rockdale County. I decided to run for office in 2006, trailblazing the pathways. You know, in 2008, I decided to run for the chair seat. And thanks to God, we became successful. So for the past 7.5 years, the property owners of Rockdale County has not had any property tax increases. For the past 7.5 years, Rockdale County has become a county of financial excellence with the AAA, 2A, and AAA bond ratings. For the past 7.5 years, Rockdale County has become a county of credibility and transparency. For the last 7.5 years, our team has worked diligently to win many prizes. For the past 7 years, we have paved over 34 roads, including intersections. Look at the Parker Road intersection. How about G's Mill? And that work continues to move forward. For the past 7.5 years, we have been working diligently to keep our community clean and beautiful. We have over 10 miles of walking trails. Oh, and by the way, over the last several years, we've purchased over 70 new police cars to keep your community safe, as well as purchasing over 8 new fire and rescue apparatuses and building 2 new fire stations. So look at the facts, not the talk. My name is Richard Oden, and I ask for your vote on July 26, 2016, but early voting is already underway. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oden first, sir. In your opinion, what are the most important challenges facing Rockdale County, and how do you propose to address these challenges? Here's the mic.
Thank you, Pastor. Challenges. You know, when you talk about a community, it includes the tax digest. We have a community that's been kind of underserved in terms of our revenue stream from an economic development standpoint. But public safety has been my #1 priority from day one. Each year, we have increased the public safety budget since I've been in office, every single year. In the last 7 years, like I mentioned before, we bought new vehicles. We also have looked at the opportunity. In the first 2 years, we put over 200 kids to work in the community. We had a 9.5% unemployment rate. Well, today it's down to 6%, but we still have a 1% over the state. Jobs for our kids. I differ in this fact because by 18, the East Block just approved a facility that will be built behind the Rockdale Career Academy. And yes, family, I'm going to tell you today, we will have now a school of medicine and also a healthcare program that will be built and facilitated. So inside that facility, as we prepare for the future, we biomedical technology, anatomy, physiology, and all those sciences, so we can retain our millenniums in this community. You know, unfortunately, driving is okay, but we want jobs to keep our kids right here, and the talented kids we have in Rockdale County, we want to maintain that here. So, economic development, but first priority is public safety, to keep our streets clean and keep our safe community, and we're going to be doing a town hall in a couple days with the government, law enforcement, and also the communities. To bridge this gap, talk about what's going on in this community and what's going on in other communities. And we have pathways for our young folks to become a part of our community and engage. So I'd say public safety number one, number two, economic development, and the results show you what we're achieving at. And number three would be quality of life. Quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you, Pastor. When I think about the most important challenges that are facing our community, number one is clear leadership and clear vision. There's a major disconnect with our young people in terms of getting people back to work. When we talk about unemployment being 6.9% of a community that have 90,000 residents, that is a problem. Not only do, as I stated earlier, not only do we have to usher in opportunities, but we got to get in the right opportunities, the right fit that matches the workforce and the skill set of Rockdale County. So economic development is one of the biggest hurdles. Internal operations, there is a $8 million deficit that whomever is the next chairman, I will have to be able to deal with how to overcome that particular obstacle. So I think it's important that you build rapport, you build relationship, and working together with the three commissioners, not a person serving as a king, not a person serving as a self-serving individual, but someone who will work with all the other two commissioners in order to move Rockdale County forward. It's about leadership, it's about clear vision, and our biggest obstacle is how we're going to help people get back to work.
Thank you so very, very much.
Please explain the role of the county commissioner chairman as its relationship with post 1 and post 2 commissioners.
Thank you. The relationship between the Board of Commissioners. First, we must understand that all three positions are elected at large. The Board of Commissioners are policy makers. You set policies, make legislation, and you take those policies and legislation and you begin to pass that on to the chairman. The chairman is the governing body of the particular Board of Commissioners relationship. So it's critical that you have a relationship with the Board of Commissioners to communicate. That's how we've been able to succeed and what we've been doing for the past 8 years. Contrary, we have been very, very successful. Yes, we do have a deficit. We took a deficit of $4.5 million coming into the door. But guess what? We have a financial excellence for the last 7.5 years. Also, we have a bond rating. We can go to the bond market and get bond because we have a 2A, 3A bond rating. So when you look at this scenario, the relationship, now the chairman takes his chairman hat off, and this is a part of the Enabling Act process. Richard Odom didn't create it. The chairman now becomes the chief executive officer to run the day-to-day operation. Therein lies you have a chief of staff that communicates with both Post 1 and Post 2. And therein lies the communication for the interdepartmental communication processes. When a commissioner steps outside that lane, go into the departments, then it creates conflict. And that's why you see conflict sometimes, because you go around the process, breaking the law or ignoring the law, as some people will do in order to be self-lifting. So we're going to get beyond that. So in the process, the commissioner chairman presides over all the meetings in the process. He takes the hat off and then runs the day-to-day operations over 9 departments, $139 million. $139 million with transparency. We started filming, mic check. We started filming our meetings on day one for transparency purposes. Integrity. I'm about integrity, accountability. I've attended over 1,000 meetings, events, and also in the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please explain the role of the county commissioner chairman as its relationship with Post 1 and Post 2 commissioners.
The chairman of the Board of Commissioners serves as the chief ambassador for Rockdale County. That person works in collaborations with Post 1 and the Post 2 commissioner. All three are commissioners. One is elected as the chairperson of the board, who is responsible, chiefly responsible for running the day-to-day operations. Now while we're talking about facts, let me make sure I give you a little Georgia history. There's only one county in the state of Georgia that has a CEO form of government, and that is DeKalb County, not Rockdale County. Now, it's a common sense factor, whether it's put in writing or whether it's just a verbal conversation. However, it does say that in the Enabling Act that the chairperson serves as the day-to-day manager. So the relationship between the chairman and Post 1 and Post 2 should be one of working together on any particular project that relates to Rockdale County as a whole. Now, the chairman serves, again, as the day-to-day manager who is chiefly responsible for all day-to-day activities inside the community. Another thing you need to know, the chief of staff is just a plus and not a must. We don't have to have a chief of staff. The chief of staff serves as a liaison between the three commissioners because of the Georgia Sunshine Law. Two commissioners cannot collaborate or be seen anywhere together because it appears that there's a breaking of the Sunshine Law, which says that you can't have two, which creates a quorum. Therefore, we have a chief of staff who serves to communicate and collaborate information, who serves as a liaison on behalf of all three commissioners. The one that serves as a day-to-day manager is known as the chairman.
Thank you, Pastor. Here's my plea mark. Again, I say early voting has started. I'm asking you for your continuation to serve as a chairman of the Rockdale County government. Check the facts. Look at my track record. We have a great team in Rockdale County because of all the accomplishments we have achieved over the last 7.5 years. You know, we just recently became a green community, a certified green community, which means that's a huge, huge accomplishment. We also now become a fiber-ready community. Look at your interstates I-20 and Sigma, I-20 and Salem Road. Look at the gateway we've created. We are moving in a direction that's going to help this community to reach out into the future and beyond through positive economic development growth. I just got on the Economic Development Council last year. The other folks have served the last 7 years, and we are making change, put in place a governing policy on how to do economic development. That will be implemented very, very soon. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Nesbitt, 1 minute, please.
If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. It's time for results in Rockdale County. And the people of this community have spoken very loudly and very clearly that they are ready for results. The young people all over this community, as well as the senior citizens, have been campaigning now for 22 months. Every inch of this community, from church to church, being committed to the people of Rockdale County. It's time for change. It's time to collaborate with a collective board of commissioners, work together with our sheriff's office and not fight with them, making certain that the sheriff has all of the necessary tools and resources he needs to get the job done, and making sure that we create a competitive work salary for not just our sheriff's office, but all of our personnel, all of our public safety personnel. Let me just say this to you. Oz Nesbitt is committed to you. I'm committed to the community. I'm committed to safety, and I want to make sure that we move forward with the change. Vote Oz Nesbitt for your next year.
Give a 2-minute introduction of yourself.
Good evening. When I first moved to this county, the first thing that I did was reach out to my commissioners. That was the first thing that I done. I had a couple of appointments with a couple of my commissioners, and the first thing I said is, what can I do for Rockdale County? I got a couple of answers, and I got a couple of questions. Immediately, I started working. I can actually look out over this auditorium, this church right now, and see some of the recipients of the work that I have done here in this community. On May the 9th, the Saturday before Mother's Day, we did a food drive. We actually had to close the truck down in order to leave for the day. Now that tells me that there's issues here in Rockdale County. The unemployment rate is 6.9%. That's for the county. The state of Georgia, 5.8%. Now, if I go into race, we're looking at 11.8% in African American unemployment. That's an issue. Rockdale County got to get back to work. I stand firmly on the economic development plan. I stand firmly on getting some of these black buildings that we have here vacant. I did a little round around. Vacant buildings everywhere. Salem Gates, empty. Why? We need to put Rockdale County back on the map. Congestion, 138. 2 hours to get to the highway. That's work that has to be done. We don't have time to be playing, talking about it, thinking about it. There's a gap that needs to be bridged. That gap is from the community of Rockdale County to the city of the government. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sherry Washington. I moved here in 2004 after I got out of law school. I was looking for a place for myself and my daughter to come. My sister lived here, and I did the research. At that time, Rockdale County had one of the best school systems in the state of Georgia, and I said, why would I go anywhere else? I moved here, and I got involved in the community, and I fell in love with this community. I started working with the NAACP and other organizations, and in 2007, I moved my business here. I started my business here, so I've had my law firm here. And we do have problems. We may have a high unemployment rate, but we also have people that are willing to give people in Rockdale County jobs. We have had numerous jobs fairs with this commissioner and with the county commissioner and other people, and we are working towards solving the problems. And that's what you need in Rockdale County as your next county commissioner. Somebody who's willing to roll up her shirt sleeves, who's willing to dig in the trenches, get Rockdale County back on the map. My number one priority is public safety. Like I said, I'm single. I'm a single female. My daughter, who lives here also, she's a single female. We need to feel safe, as well as you all need to feel safe in Rockdale County as you move about the county every day. One of the things that I did see as I am campaigning, I'm going door to door, and I'm knocking on your doors, and I'm introducing myself to you so that you know who your next county commissioner will be. But there's areas in this community that they feel safe enough that they can leave their garage doors open for hours at a time. That should be the benchmark. Do we feel safe enough? Do you feel safe enough in your home that you will leave your garage door open so that you can just be in your house feeling safe and secure? That's how I want all of this community to be. I'm committed to that. I'm committed to having this the best Rockdale County that we can afford. So I need for you to vote for Sherry Lynn Washington for County Commissioner. Thank you.
There are many that feel we may be facing some very difficult decisions concerning our county's finances, considering our reserve funds have declined over the last few years. What are your thoughts on how to move forward?
Well, I did have an opportunity to look at the budget. We're working with $110 million. A fifth of it was actually for the sheriff's office, for safety. That's number one. Now, I know that we have been going into the reserve, but this is the deal, y'all. Sometimes we may have to dip into the savings when it's need be. We may not want to go into the reserve, but sometimes we may have to. Now just think about it. It's like for your own household. If you run into a situation and you have a little bit of savings on the side, you pull from it. But the key is you got to be able to have the means to put it back. Because see, what happens is, if you don't put it back, what happens? You end up going broke. So we have to develop a plan in order to replenish our reserve once we start dipping in it. Now, I'm not your post-fund commissioner yet, but once I do become your post-fund commissioner, I will look into those areas to see what can be done, what can we do as a county to develop some things to do to put back the money that we have taken out of the reserve. But we have to. I know people say that, why should we? But you know what the good thing is? That it's there that we can use. Because if it wasn't there to use, well, we would be in a lot of trouble.
When you are moving money from your savings, you have to figure out, like she said, how to put it back. One of the premier ways that we can put money back into the budget is by spending money in Rockdale County. We had a whole campaign of Shop the Rock. We have two spots. We have the e-spots and we have a regular spot. And we also, shopping in Rockdale County also increases our taxes, our tax bases. So when you go shopping, you need to shop the rock. You need to first think, can I get that here? Can I get whatever I need? Can I get this dress here? Can I get these shoes here? Can I get my groceries here? Can I go to the Walmart here instead of in Covington or instead of in DeKalb County? Can I buy here first? Because that puts money in our fund. So we need to have a concerted effort. I need to be telling Mr. Mr. Nesbitt to shop the rock. He needs to be telling me. We need to have a concerted effort to shop the rock, shop in Rockdale County. Tell your friends to shop in Rockdale County. A second thing is that we need to have more events and things that bring other monies to Rockdale County. For example, there are 20,000 members of Alpha Kappa Alpha in Atlanta. 28,000 members. And guess what they came to do? Spend money. We should have had something here to bring those ladies out here to spend some money in Rockdale. If it was a reception, if it was anything, so that they can spend some money in Rockdale County, because that is a way that you can increase your revenue base. We should have more functions here. Anything that we can do to promote Rockdale County and put the money in Rockdale County. But guess what? You have to show the pride in Rockdale County. You have to say, oh, well, we have an event space here that you can have your event here in Rockdale County. Look at this. Okay, I bought this at BJ's, Shop the Rock. I'm sorry.
What can we do to better serve the youth of our community?
That's a few things that we can do to better serve the youth. We can do after-school programs, summer programs. I remember a long time ago when I was a little child, we had this program that was called CETA. Everybody remember CETA?
Yep.
When school was out in the summertime, we went to church. We went to recreation centers. I learned how to swim. I learned how to shoot pool. I learned how to do a lot of things in the summer. But see, those are some of the things that we got to get back to as a community. We don't do those things anymore. We need more summer programs for our kids. We need more culture art programs for our kids. If not, they're just going to run rampant. There's a program that's now called the Summer Food Service Program, which is sponsored by Right from the Start. I've done that program for almost 7 years. And what it does is this. When the kids are out of school for the summer, and they're not able to provide themselves breakfast and lunch, Flippin Sr gives you money to do that. Feed our kids when they will have a nutritionist meal in the summertime. Because some of our parents work all week long, so they don't have revenues to do that. So we need to get back to our summer programs. We need to get back to CETA. We need to get back to EOA. We need to get back to all of those programs. All of those things was done with federal money many, many years ago. Rockdale County can get some of that money and bring it back here where our kids will feel safe in the summer. They will have different art programs to go to, dancing programs to go to. And then not only that, some mentoring programs. We definitely need that mentoring program. Because we are in a mess when it comes to our youth. It's all over the news, y'all. Y'all hear about it. So those are the things that we need to do. And thank you so much.
Number one, I think we need to highlight more of the good things that our youth do because they do a whole lot of good. I'm a member of the Superintendent's Advisory Council. We did a tour of the schools, and there are so many positive things that our youth are doing, but they do need some help. I am with Commissioner Nesbitt. We have 16,000 students matriculated through our schools. We have one recreation center, and I do believe that we don't need things for our children to do just in the summertime. They need things to do all year round. They don't need to be standing around waiting for basketball games. Those young men need to be able to play. They need to be doing things constructive in a constructive forum. We need to figure this out. I had a person, a good friend of mine, tell me that we need to be creative with what we do with our youth facilities. We could have one end of Rockdale County be a football facility, another place be a basketball facility. We already have the soccer facility. We could have an arts and drama center downtown. We can be creative with what we do for our youth in Rockdale County, and it's going to take a collective effort because we do need the mentors, but that might be you, Miss Morgan, or you, Miss Johnson. It might be us calling on you to help better the youth in a constructive mentor-mentee program. So we do have a lot of opportunity for our youth, but I also want to let everybody know that we do have a lot of youth doing a lot of good in this community. Thank you.
Well, thank you all again for actually just having your ear to hear what Phyllis Hatcher has said and what Phyllis Hatcher is going to do for this community. I'm a person of leadership. Been in leadership all of my life. I lead people today. I have a flock of parishioners that I lead on a daily basis. I lead in my household. Outside of my husband, sometimes I allow him to lead. That's not good, but I do give him his props. But I am a leader. I'm a person that gets things done. I'm here to actually work hard for Rockdale County. I'm a person that can serve as well. I'm willing to work with any one of our chairpersons that takes the seat. When there may be conflict in the commissioner's house, you will not see it. We'll make sure that we have our differences behind the doors, so when we get up front, that you will know that we're all in harmony. Thank you. My name is Phyllis Hatcher. I'd love to have your vote as your next Post 1 Commissioner of Rockdale County.
Thank you.
Once again, my name is Sherry Lynn Washington, and I'm running to be your next county commissioner. Like I said, I do have big shoes to fill, filling in Oz Nesbitt's shoes, where he's held the seat down for 8 years and done a wonderful job. I do plan to be accountable and accessible. I do plan to work with you and all of you all in this community. I have lived here for 12 years. I have loved this community since I set foot in it. I have been a member of numerous organizations. I founded numerous organizations, and none of them have been self-serving. All of them have been designed to help this community that I love and that I hold dear. So I'm asking you, get out and vote. Early voting has started. It is until the 22nd, and election day is on the 26th. But remember, Washington works. and I will work hard for you. I'm the second on the ballot, but I want to be your first choice. Thank you.
Mr. Cuthbert, by asking you to introduce yourself, tell us something about yourself and why we should vote for you.
Thank you. I'd like to say thank you to Impact and the Pastor Ship for having us here this evening. My name is Clarence Cuthbert Jr., and I am a practicing attorney for the past 20 years. I have practiced from local, state, and federal courts, and I am also admitted to the local, state, and federal courts and have practiced throughout the state of Georgia. I have also practiced probate law for the past 20 years. And I am a 10-year certified mediator and arbitrator, and I've also owned my own law firm for the past 17 years. So I'm well qualified for the position of probate court. My top priority is to ensure that the citizens of Rockdale County can navigate through the probate court in an effective and efficient manner with the least amount of delay. In most cases, when citizens are required to utilize the probate court, it's due to some sort of crisis in their life. Either someone has passed away, or they're trying to get guardianship over an incapacitated adult or a child that they suddenly came in custody of due to some family type situation. So I'd like to ensure that my top priority would be to ensure that these citizens can navigate through the process and that our court will be seen as one that can be a model and not one that can be a laughingstock. I ask for your vote for probate judge of Rockdale County on July 26th. Again, early voting has already started, so I appreciate it. If you go out, and if you've already been out, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Charles Mays. I'm probate judge here in Rockdale County. I would like to thank Pastor Ship and to the other ministers for inviting us out and for having this forum. When I'm sitting down, my thoughts are up, and when I'm standing up, my thoughts are down. So I've written out 12 points that I want to establish with you, to inform you of the things that I have done and the things that we look forward to doing in this county. I've been probate judge for the last 4 years, and I am the most qualified candidate because I have been a judge and I've been trained as a judge. I have a law degree from St. Louis University, and I'm well qualified for the position. We've done some very important things here in the community. We initiated free legal service for the Rockdale citizens. Every second Tuesday of the month, you can come into our office and you can get to talk to an attorney for free on any probate issue that you might have. We decreased the cost that's required for a Rockdale citizen to probate a will. We have shortened the process for probating a will as well. We've initiated bilingual forms for the probate court because we have an increased number of Hispanics that have come into the community. We started to put the forms together in Spanish and in English, and we have an interpreter in our office at this time.
2 minutes.
And we've done several other things, but we thank you.
With us the role or the function of the probate court judge.
The role of the probate court judge, his chief responsibility is to probate and administer estates. If someone passes away and they have a will, it's the responsibility of the probate judge to ensure that the wishes of that deceased person are carried out according to the will after the judge has ensured that the will is authentic, that it was It was issued under the proper circumstances, that the person was competent to issue that will, and that it was properly signed and witnessed. That's the primary responsibility. If in fact the person does not have a will, then it's the determination of the probate court to decide how the deceased person's assets should be distributed. Secondly, the probate court is responsible for issuing marriage licenses, pistol permits, birth and death records, and primarily that is the responsibility of the probate court. Those are the primary responsibilities. In order to understand and properly administer these estates, the probate judge needs to have legal training, needs to be a licensed attorney. Rockdale County is one of, I believe, 2 counties that remain in the state of Georgia that does not have a licensed attorney as its judge. And that is being done away with due to the fact that the population level has been reduced from 96,000 to 90,000 residents. After you reach that limit, then you must be a licensed attorney for at least 7 years and have attained the age of 30 years old. Clearly, I'm 30 years old, and I've been practicing law for 20 years. Thank you.
The things that Mr. Cuthbert said, those are true, but also it's the responsibility of the probate judge to have a concern about those that are mentally ill, and to be able to regulate and to judge over those people that have issues, and to help families to get them help and to get them to the proper facilities. Also, as he said, we do pistol permits, and we do marriage license, we do birth and death records. But there are other pressing issues also that the probate court should reach out to help the community. Certain things that we're doing in order to serve some of those problems that have developed. We have put together a mental health summit so that people can come together and discuss some of the issues of the community that are concerned with the probate court. We also do guardianships, adult guardianships and minor guardianships, and there's some issues there. Oftentimes with minor guardianships, parents, and oftentimes it's young parents, or people who are on drugs, or people who have family issues, they have to leave their children with someone else. And that's where the guardianships come in. And they have to leave them oftentimes with elderly parents, and there are issues that come up. So the probate court, there are the legal issues, but there also is a personal side of it. You have to have the ability to deal with those issues as well.
Thank you.
What can be done, if anything, to make Rockdale County probate more efficient for those having to use the services of the court?
As I've stated previously at some of the prior forums and debates prior to today, I believe that electronic filing is something that should definitely be looked at for the probate court. However, in order to implement electronic filing, we must make sure that we have properly trained employees in the probate court who can actually carry out that process. It's one thing to talk about, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, but you've got to make sure that the foundation is in place in order to carry out these suggestions. I think electronic filing would certainly be fitting. It would expedite the process through probate court, and it would allow the citizens to experience a lot less stress and anxiety when they come into the court, because in many cases, even if they chose to walk the documents in, they could have them prepared prior to the time that they come in. I also believe that the employees of the probate court should be cross-trained so that they can do more than one job. One of my pet peeves is to walk into a government office and be told that, well, you got to come back next week because this person's out or this person's at lunch, so I can't take care of it now. I want to know that anytime a citizen of Rockdale County walks through the probate court doors, that they're going to be served to the best of our ability within that court. I also believe that the probate court can utilize a appointment system for certain more complex issues, such that if I come in to obtain a pistol permit, I'm not held up by someone who's trying to file a petition for probate or file a petition for guardianship. So those are the two of the things that I would like to see implemented.
Thank you. The things that could be done are already being put in place that will make Rockdale County Probate Court more efficient. We are already moving toward electronic filing. Matter of fact, some of it is being done in some of the other courts. It's a little more difficult with the probate court because most of the people that file here in Rockdale County file pro se, meaning that they file for themselves and they don't use an attorney. And Mr. Cutler, because he hasn't been in our office, he wouldn't understand that. I have a heart for the people, and that's why I do things that will help the people and will help them to be able to afford the process, first of all, because oftentimes they will have to file for a pauper's application in order to be able to afford the process. But not only that, but what we do is we do cross-train, and we have three of my employees here. Will you please stand up? My employees. They have been cross-trained, and it's insulting because he hasn't been in our office, and for him to make certain allegations from things that he's heard is quite unfair. But we are doing the things that we need to in order to better the process and to be able to make everyone be able to afford the process. Some of the things that we have done, we put in place the attorney, as I said before, so that they'll be able to understand how to file the forms, and then the filing and the system in which they are being accepted. And we have a small office. We need more room, but we do well with the space that we have.
Thank you. As I said in the beginning, I'm a 20-year practicing attorney. I'm licensed, I'm barred. I have practiced law for 20 years. I haven't practiced at it. I've practiced law for the past 20 years. I have practiced probate law for the past 20 years, and I've filed in probate courts throughout the state of Georgia. Since I have, well, actually prior to announcing my candidacy for probate judge, I have been approached by attorneys, citizens, and many others who, at the very mention of Rockdale County Probate Court, the comments are, you all need to do something about that court out there. It's terrible. And actually, there were several of my mentors and legal colleagues that encouraged me to run for this position. The comments are that documents filed in Rockdale County take longer to be processed than most other counties, and this is why I'm running. I'm asking that you vote for me, Clarence Cuthbert, probate judge, Rockdale County. Thank you.
As he just said, those are things that he heard. But you know what bothers me? What bothers me is that why is it that a person who has all of these accolades, they're running for a position that requires a high school diploma, and we have vacancies on other courts where the requirement to be an attorney and to have the number of years. Why would a person leave a successful practice, a practice where they've been before several courts and Why would they leave that practice? But getting to the fact, I have a heart for the people. And I have worked with and done things for the citizens of Rockdale County. I love Rockdale County. I love the people of Rockdale County. Those of you...
All right, thank you.
And asked that she would share with us something about herself and why she's running for office.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Tanya P. Anderson, and I am a candidate for State Senate District 43, which covers Lithonia, Conyers, Covington, Oxford, and Porterdale. So it's quite a large district, but I started out in local government, and they gave me an opportunity to connect with the people, to be able to be a voice for the people at the local level, and then was the first state representative for House District 92, which covers Rockdale and DeKalb. So I've been in dual counties for several years, and I'm a veteran, so I've served in the United States Air Force Reserve and retired. So a shout out to all of my veterans. Thank you for your service. My husband and I pastor a church. We pastor the second location of Stronghold Christian Church, which is under the oversight of Drs. Ben and Sherry Gaither. I lead worship every Sunday, so I am connected to people and I love people, and I'm running because currently we have someone who does not represent the district as a whole. This is a Democratic district and it needs Democratic representation. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, and greetings to everyone tonight. It's a pleasure to be here, so thank you, Pastor Shipp. Thank you, Impact. So I am Dee Dawkins Hagler. I am a wife of Lieutenant Colonel David Hagler. We have 4 children and 2 grandchildren. But other than that, that keeps me busy. I have been in the Georgia General Assembly for the past 8.5 years. So in those 8.5 years, 8 of those years, I have always been in a leadership capacity. So my very first session, I had served 1 month, and it had been unheard of that a freshman coming in, after 1 month of serving, would be appointed to be assistant deputy whip. So after serving for that position for 2 years, I became the chair of the Women's Caucus, and that was a great honor to do that. And then 2 years after that, I became the chair of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus. So I've been the chair for the past 4 years. And in that capacity, I have led many initiatives throughout this state. So I'm very proud of one of the things that we did last year was pass our almost $1 billion transportation deal. Even though I had, at that time, I was going through breast cancer, I just missed a lot of session, I was able to be on the telephone with the governor and the Senate leadership while we were doing that deal. So they were talking to me while I was absent from the chamber. I was still present to do the work of the people. Now, why am I running for this seat? I'm running for this seat because we have a Republican in place. Last year, Representative Anderson ran for the seat against Janice Van Ness, and we lost. We lost the seat. So this year, when I came to the General Assembly, there was so much havoc that was being wreaked by the new senator of the 43rd that I was approached by Senate leadership, said, why don't you go and run for this seat, because we've got to get our seat back. And so I've been in this race, even though I was in a pretty safe district. I know that it is important and pivotal that we get a seat back, because if you take someone who has been in a seat and in 3 months has done damage, from Rockdale to DeKalb to Newton, you have to do something. You have to be bold, and that's why I'm running for this seat.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Shall the Constitution of Georgia be amended to allow the state to intervene in chronically failing public schools in order to improve student performance? And you have 2 minutes.
Absolutely not. That is a no vote. The Opportunity School District was created from 2 bills, Senate Bill 133 and Senate Resolution 287. Both of those are damaging legislation because it takes away local control and it leaves the responsibility still for finances within the local government. There is no oversight from our school board. Pretty much the superintendent will be appointed by the governor, who can then fire teachers, so people will lose their jobs, and our schools will be dormant, and our children may or may not be allowed in those school districts. So that is a very good no answer for that question. Also, the Opportunity School District was created for failing schools, but it was also created because there are no resources in our schools. There are no resources, enough resources in our school districts. So our teachers need resources, and they need our support. Our children need resources, and they need our support. So the Opportunity School District is very damaging legislation, and we should vote against that bill.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Thank you so much.
Shall the Constitution of Georgia be amended to allow the state to intervene in chronically failing public schools in order to improve student performance? And you have 2 minutes.
Absolutely not. That is a no vote. The Opportunity School District was created from two bills, Senate Bill 133 and Senate Resolution 287. Both of those are damaging legislation because it takes away local control and it leaves the responsibility still for finances within the local government. There is no oversight from our school board. Pretty much the superintendent will be appointed by the governor, who can then fire teachers, so people will lose their jobs, and our schools will be dormant, and our children may or may not be allowed in those school districts. So that is a very good no answer for that question. Also, the Opportunity School District was created for failing schools, but it was also created because there are no resources in our schools. There are no resources, enough resources in our school districts. So our teachers need resources, and they need our support. Our children need resources, and they need our support. So the Opportunity School District is very damaging legislation, and we should vote against that bill.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So first of all, anytime you change the Constitution of the state of Georgia, any Constitution, it should be to improve the lives of everyone that's involved. This particular bill, Opportunity School Districts, to me is a way to resegregate our school systems in the state of Georgia. First of all, the state of Georgia already provides for the state superintendent to be able to intervene in those schools which are failing. So when this piece of legislation came through the General Assembly last year, the Democratic caucus and those who were there took a position that they would vote against the Opportunity School District. So let me tell you what happens when you have an Opportunity School District. What is a failing school? Well, a failing school needs to have a criteria. There is no set criteria in this piece of legislation. So failing school can mean that your children missed a certain amount of days from school. It can mean that a certain amount of children are on free or reduced lunch. It can mean that your child has discipline problems, the school has too much discipline. So it's not just based on test scores. That's a very dangerous scenario. So when we talk about the Opportunity School Bill, there is two distinct things that happened. One was the actual bill itself, which said, do you support the governor being able to take over your school system? On that particular bill, for whatever reason, I don't know why, Representative Anderson did not vote. But on the resolution to have it on the Constitution, most of the General Assembly, down party lines, voted that they would vote Democrats against it being on the ballot. Now what did I do? You got to be about solutions, not part of the problem. So what I did when I came in session this year, I introduced a piece of legislation that would change the wording on the ballot. Because as it reads right now, it's very tricky. It says, shall the governor be able to intervene in failing schools? And when most people hear that, it sounds good. But what it does not say is, shall the governor, at his discretion, be able to appoint a superintendent of his choosing that only answers to him, that he can redirect money any way he chooses, and everybody got to listen. The devil is a lie. So that's anyway. Vote no on Opportunity School District.
What one issue do you feel at the time needs to be addressed in District 43 and your plan to deal with it?
Well, because the district is, the dynamics of the district is large, the common denominator for each one is several issues, but the one that I think needs our most of our attention is our education. We cannot lose our children from opportunity school districts, or even the fact that they don't have enough resources. We cannot lose our children because not only are they our future, but they are our today. We have to invest in them. We have to give them what they need. We have to, again, support our teachers. We have to position our communities for thriving and not just surviving. We've done enough of that for a very long time. And so until we connect with our local government, connect with our school boards, connect with our superintendents, then we cannot assist in the efforts to move our county forward. Again, there are lots of issues. There's economic development, but education is tied around that. So one of the things that I want to do is to, because I've been on the local level, I know how to connect with people. Because I've, and I pastor a church, connect with people. So I think we have to connect with one another, the cities, the counties, and the state, in order to move the county in a direction that will not just, again, as I said, survive but thrive. When we have a strong educational system, economic development will come. When we have a strong educational system, resources will come. So that is one of the things that I want to see improved in this district.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
Thank you. So I'm going to choose economic development. Because when you choose economic development, many things can fall up under that umbrella. So we know that in the state of Georgia there's 5.3% unemployment. But when you start moving down the I-20 corridor, it begins to increase. And then it increases more based on racial identity. So one of the things I want to make sure that in the state of Georgia, we're able to produce jobs. And one of the things that I'm really proud of right now is that Georgia has become the new Hollywood. And if you all don't know, we really have. A few years ago, we provided a 30% tax break to lure those companies to come to the state of Georgia. And in doing so, we are able to increase our economic base. That will create jobs for everyone around this local area. So in economic development, we did a transportation bill. Why am I talking about transportation with economic development? Because you're talking about an almost $1 billion deal that I was very influential in passing. And so what does that mean? That means there will be jobs to do construction, to do building, all down the I-20 corridor. So when you talk about economic development, you could also talk about raising wages. Georgia has the lowest minimum wages in this nation at $5.15. So for the past 4 years, I have introduced legislation to make sure that we raise those minimum wages, because we have to do better as it relates to economic development. Because if people do not have any money, if people do not have resources, it is very hard to survive. Many children cannot do well in school because their parents don't make enough money, so therefore they have no food to eat, and then your test scores will be low. Economic development. So economic development is the engine that will do everything we need to do in this state. It won't cover everything, but I tell you, when you're broke, it's hard to do anything. When you got some money, you can get by. Like I'd rather be, many times I'd rather have some money in my pocket than I can deal with some issues, but to have issues and be broke is a terrible thing. But anyway, so we have to make sure that we take care of the things that need to be taken care of. Economic development. Thank you.
1 minute to close in your remarks, all right?
Thank you. Thank you again for hosting this forum and allowing us to come and present. Again, my name is Tanya Anderson. I have served again as a veteran on the local level. I've also served as a pastor. I serve as a pastor. What I know is we need someone who is not going to play games. If they play games now, they'll play games in the chamber. If they play games and they ask and they don't address you now, they won't address your issues later. So what I do know is that we need someone who will address the people, who is accessible, who is approachable, who will listen and get the job done and move forward with the issues that concern us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And so as I started off my conversation our end, the way that you get elected to leadership is because people know that you work hard and get the job done. You will not get elected year and year and year again in a leadership position unless people know that you can handle what you're doing. That is why I've started many organizations in DeKalb, Rockdale, and Newton. And every time I'm in those organizations, I rise to the rank of president. Why? Because I'm a leader. Why do they choose me to be the leader in every organization at the Capitol? Why? Because I have the skills, the ability. People know leadership when they see it. It's not just about talk, your actions follow you. If you're not a good leader, people won't re-elect you. If you're not a good leader, people won't put you in top positions because they know the work that you do. Your work will always speak for you. And I'm so glad that my work, it speaks for me in everything that I do. And so I'm glad that anybody on any day, go Google D. Dawkins Hagler and see my record. I would challenge anybody, including my opponent, let them Google your records and see what you did as the mayor of Lithonia, see what you did as the state rep. But when you Google D. Dawkins Hagler, you're going to see a leader. Thank you.
2-minute introduction of yourself and what you intend to do in this seat.
Thank you, Reverend Flippin, and thank you, Pastor Lee, and all the other ministers of Impact for hosting this. This is a very crucial election, and having it public here, I want to really thank you for being here because you need to see what your choices are going to be. I'm just coming to you in the most humble, innocent way. I have an 8-year record as a member of the Georgia House of Representatives. Experience, sitting on the Appropriations Committee. Matter of fact, one of the co-sponsors of the Peach Care Act, which insured over 100,000 uninsured children whose parents were not eligible for Medicaid, but at the same time, on their job, they were not able to afford health care. And right here in Rockdale County, many young people right now are being insured by that bill that I introduced. I spent 8 years as Chief Executive Officer of DeKalb County. I managed over 8,000 employees, about $3 billion budget, including the pension fund. Had an opportunity to manage the transportation department, police department, and various other departments. I've run local government. I've been the chief executive. I have that executive experience. I have that legislative experience. Rockdale County right now needs good leadership and someone who has the experience, both legislative and executive, that can hit the ground running day one for you at the Capitol. I understand what goes on at the local level, your infrastructure improvements, law enforcement, parks and rec. I have a history of providing those services, running those departments. I look forward to working with the local government. As a state legislator, serving on the Appropriations Committee, where the budget is, they talked about the almost $1 billion transportation plan. How much of that has been allocated for Rockdale County? Can anybody tell me about it? Not a single dime has been allocated for Rockdale County. That's a line item in the budget. As a legislator, I can hit the ground running day one with a conversation with the speaker, the transportation chairman and transportation chairman over the Senate and with the lieutenant governor, and work to bring those matching funds so you all can get some of the money, because you have a budget shortfall you talked about, so we can start to address the number one issue, as I see it, that covers everybody, is that gridlock on 138 and Dog.
Yes. Good evening. Good evening. I know all of you just about in here, and this is half the room in here. I know you guys, and you know me. You know me from working in the community and being on the ground level with the people. No, not in the legislature, not in as a CEO, but as a worker in the community. And as DeKalb and a couple of other counties just proved last in May in the primary election, experience is what they're afraid of. Why? Because it's been linked in the last past years to unethical behavior and corruption. I come scandal-free. I come ready to work. I come able to work. And I believe that my leadership skills in this county speaks for itself. 3 years ago, I started the Rockdale Newton section of the National Council of Negro Women. That is an organization that actually advocates and provides resources for African American women and their families. Under my leadership those last 3 years, we have accomplished a great deal on the ground in the communities. We have held different types of seminars on sex trafficking. We participated and collaborated with other organizations on domestic violence. We have provided resources such as training for resume building for women who have been escaping abusive relationships. We have done educational forums for our youth in the community, bringing together the parents as well as bringing together all the law enforcement and school staff to help make our community the best they can be. You also know me as being an avid political person in reference to, well, not necessarily a political person, but you know me to be engaged in politics. I've served as an executive member on the board here for the Rockdale County Democratic Party. I served as a post holder, registered numerous voters, and I also am a member of the League of Women Voters here, which is a diverse organization of both Democrats and Republican women, and we know how to get along. We know how to work together. I ask for your vote. Early voting has already begun.
What do you feel is the biggest challenge facing our state today?
Thank you. I feel the biggest challenge is good leadership. Someone who can bring both sides together, both parties, various communities, and address the real issues. When you look at some of the discussions that are going on in the Georgia Dome, when there are much, much more pressing issues, most of the issues being discussed are those that divide us, not that unite us. And that's where good leadership comes in, addressing those critical issues. What are the critical issues in the state of Georgia? Jobs, creating jobs, economic development, helping small businesses. At the same time, having a quality education, because we have a quality education community. A lot of companies want to relocate or expand their existing operation there. And so when you have good leadership, and you have experience in leadership and bringing people together, and bringing various groups, including the ministerial community, I work with pastors. Why? Because most people trust their church, but they don't trust the government. So when I see them do not bring the church, and there are other things that they're discussing under the dome that divide the churches, let's bring those things that bring churches together, faith-based initiatives, giving them resources and giving them grants so they can provide those local senior programs or local youth programs and helping small businesses. So I see it, as I see it, the state's problem is a leadership issue. And I hope that as a state legislator, I can work with the leadership. I know the leadership. I can provide some solutions. I can help bring people together and work towards a better Georgia. So I hope you all give me that opportunity on July 26th.
Thank you.
The number one challenge is safety. Safety in schools, safety in the churches, safety in government, and safety in our communities. I believe that no one should have access or have the ability to walk around with an assault weapon and just totally wipe out communities and families. I really do believe also that leadership is important. Sorry, I think leadership is important, but, and we do have good leadership here in Rockdale. It interests me that my opponent has been out of office for what, nearly 10 years? Have you seen him in our communities? And now he's the best one to come to Rockdale and what, save us? I have an issue with that. I have a real concern about that. So safety again would be my number one concern, because we are having these massive shootings that are continuous, and we need to do something about that on our state level and on a national level. But why can't Georgia start and be the first?
Thank you so much. Students that have dropped out of high school are 3 times more likely to be incarcerated than their in-school peers. What can the state do, if anything, to reduce the flow of students into the school-to-prison pipeline?
Actually, if you look at the state's budget, almost the majority of the state's budget goes into the criminal justice system, that's prisons and courts, et cetera, But when you look at comprehensive criminal justice reform, not only for youth, but also for men, a lot of times black men and others, we have to look at why are we putting people in jail for minor infractions? For example, drugs. A lot of people are addicted to drugs. Now you criminalize somebody who's sick. They're literally sick. So you know what? They go to jail and they're spending weeks, sometimes months in jail. We have to address that issue. Let these be non-criminalized, what I call charges, if you will, where you go to drug court. Let's finance more of the drug courts. Let's help them, get them some help. Get those nonprofit groups out there, including the churches, who put it on these drug seminars and getting assistance, counseling, etc. The other thing you want to look at, to be honest, a lot of infractions people are getting, why not give them a traffic ticket? Let them pay a fine. If they don't pay the fine, then let them go to court. But even marijuana, you look at marijuana, nickel bag, you're spending sometimes a week, 2 weeks in jail. That is not something you should be criminalizing somebody on. Let them pay a fine. The courts are filled. The jail is filled. How can we get them in and out of that process? Let's look at the First Offender Act. Let's educate people on the First Offenders Act, where young people don't get that criminal record because they didn't know they can have their record expunged within the first year. A lot of them don't know that, don't have an idea about that. But also let's look at, again, job opportunities. When you get that criminal records, employers, I know they don't, on the application, I say, well, you know, you don't have to put on if you're convicted of a misdemeanor. But a lot of times, if you tell the truth, you go to jail. I mean, you don't get the job. If you don't tell the truth and find out you don't get the job, we have to make sure that small businesses and other companies are working with our youth and not holding responsible because of minor infractions.
Thank you. I'm so glad you asked that question. We were just having a conversation about that not long ago, some of the members of DNCNW. And we were reminiscing back to when we were in school. Now, you're asking about them having graduated and getting into trouble, but I'm going to back up a little bit because I think we can prohibit a lot of that. Anybody remember taking Wood Tech, those classes that gave you actual technical skills when you were in school? We were just having that discussion saying that we got to put their hands to work. But they should never leave high school and not be familiar with the trade. That's one thing that we need to be working on. I do believe that that is going to be pivotal. The state is in a crisis when it comes to our students being out there. We talk about daycare centers, we talk about after school programs and summer programs, but a lot of times parents can't afford those services. So we've got to find something that can actually deter the mindset, that idle mindset, and keep them busy and doing something constructive. And you got to give them a reason to want to do that. And, you know, you don't put something there for them to aim for or teach them how to aim at it. It doesn't have to be always the parents. You know, we got all kinds of situations where we have foster children and some parents that may miss it, be not engaged for whatever reason. So it's a community thing. We've got to grab hold of those youth and we've got to have a conversation with them and we've got to give them options. But for more than anything, I do believe that we need to work on it before they get out of school. So that when they get out of school, they have something that they can at least put their hands on and work with toward going either to school, college, university, technical school. It's not a one fit for everybody. So we have a number of things and there are options that we can do, that we can implement, but it does take a lot of help. Churches, schools, teachers, communities, and of course the state.
Thank you. So
let me just say to the pastors again, I look forward to working with each and every one of you. There are a lot of programs, a lot of resources we can make available to you at the state level. Again, most people trust their church, but they don't trust anybody else. So I look forward, if I'm elected, to be your legislator. I also want to thank those people. We got 49% of the vote. It showed that Rockdale and DeKalb County had a lot of confidence in my leadership and my experience. It does make a difference. When you go and apply for a job and you get ready to complete an application, it asks you about experience. Experience can make a difference in Rockdale. We have to address the gridlock in Rockdale County. And day one, I can get in that state budget, having been on the appropriations committee, get back on that appropriations committee, so I can get some resources, some matching funds down to local governments to relieve you of that traffic. There's just too much of a problem. And it's growing. More and more people are moving to Rockdale. It's becoming choked. And you cannot get in additional businesses to come here if it's choked out here. You can't get around in the traffic gridlock. I also want to say, my experience as a chief executive, I want to work with local governments as you look for new ways to get revenue to fill those shortfalls in your budget. I look forward to working with you. Thank you all. I look forward for your opportunity. I look forward to your vote, I should say, on July 26th. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Again, thank you, Pastor, and thank you, Impact, the pastors that are part of that particular organization. I am Rhonda Taylor, and again, I stand before you scandal-free, ready to work, qualified, have experience as a leader, can do the job, and will get the job done. I need you to know that you've seen me in the communities. I haven't lost any election. My opponent has lost 3 in a row. Think about that. I am here to serve, I am able to serve, I am eager to serve, and I am simply asking for you to do your homework. You can Google all of the candidates and make a wise decision before you go to vote. And when you go, I'm asking that you will cast that ballot for Rhonda Taylor for Georgia State House of Representatives, District 91.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor.